Again, what we know, in case you're just joining us, a small plane, not a Cessna type, ran into the north side of the World Trade Center.
September 11th, 2001. A series of airline hijackings and suicide attacks led to the death of nearly 3,000 Americans, amounting to the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil in U.S. history. There is no debate regarding the extent to which this event changed the entire social and political landscape of the United States. National security became the nation's primary concern. The Bush administration declared a war on terrorism.
Our enemy is a radical network of terrorists.
The U.S. and its allies escalated operations in Afghanistan, eventually leading to the invasion of Iraq, and public perception and understanding of terrorism and Islam were drastically altered. While the event itself was easily tragic enough to account for major change in the nation's political atmosphere, the impact of sensationalized media coverage of terrorism following 9/11 is often overlooked. As FBI investigations were quick to announce Al-Qaeda as the culprit of the attacks, media organizations immediately shifted focus from the victims to the perpetrators. Rather than framing those responsible as troubled individuals in an isolated event, the perpetrators were almost exclusively framed as a group that warranted revenge. This narrative shifted the public reaction away from sorrow for the victims and towards fear and anger surrounding the perpetrators. A study by the John Jay College of Criminal Justice found that national viewers displayed more anger following the attack than New Yorkers who had directly experienced it. The attack was framed purely in context of war, sparking public fear and thus making it easier for politicians to acquire support for military intervention in the Middle East, amongst other extreme counterterrorism measures. These trends have only persisted in the media since the 9/11 attacks. A study by the City University of New York analyzed American terrorist incidents since 1970 and found several differences in media coverage before and after 9/11. While the study found that targets, tactics used, and perpetrator identity have consistently been among the primary factors guiding media attention of a terrorist incident, the specifics of these factors have changed. Attacks targeting airlines, as well as events involving hijacking or hostage situations, received significantly greater coverage after 9/11, while in reality, these were the most unusual cases. Airlines comprised little more than 8% of targets, and bombings comprised a much greater percentage of terrorist attacks than hijacking or hostage situations. The most dramatic change, however, has been the skewed coverage towards attacks involving foreign ideology. Consistent with the narrative sparked by 9/11, the study found that incidents receive far greater coverage if its perpetrators can be tied to an international organization, specifically Islamic extremists, when in reality, far-right extremists have accounted for a majority of terrorist attacks in the United States since 9/11. A qualitative analysis from the study also reveals a significant difference in how incidents are covered depending on the perpetrator. In incidents of Islamic terrorism, the media often blamed Islam as a group or an ideology, rather than blaming the individual or focusing on personal factors, as is the case in most incidents involving far-right extremism. Media coverage of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 not only shaped the public's reaction to the event, but established a narrative and a standard for the coverage of terrorism in America. As the media continues to paint an incomplete picture of terrorism, public perception and policy will continue to be motivated by fear and misunderstanding rather than reality.